Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something interesting if you like that nerdy kind of analysis and speculation. So we're going to talk about the 2003 Acura CL Comptech Edition vehicle that has been scattered throughout the internet, and we're going to come up with what we think is the VIN number based on some deep analysis, some photo engineering, as well as some research. So hold on, we're going to dig into this and we're going to share with you that VIN at the end of this video. But for right now, we're going to talk about what this vehicle is. So this vehicle is a 2003 Acura CL Type S 6-speed manual with all the R&D goodies conducted in partnership with Acura R&D and Comptech. Comptech was a big partner back in the early 2000s as their racing arm. The racing arm of Acura and Honda before HPD existed. Comptech came in and partnered with Acura and Honda to put on a race series in numerous different series. They're very successful, and what they did was they put out a limited number of accessories that you could obtain from your dealership. So you ordered an Acura CL Type S. You had the option of ordering springs, sway bars, supercharger, a intake, exhaust headers, mufflers. Trying to think of all the other things. So there was a number of things. This car was the highlight, and we know that this car existed because Car and Driver in the early 2000s did an article on this, and you can find this on the internet. But this car came with more goodies than actually what they ended up offering back in the day from dealer accessories. So you cannot get the front bumper, you can't get the side skirts, you can't get any of the visual packaging here that you're seeing on the screen, as well as this has been noted as having a Brembo brake system, at least in the front. It looks like it maybe had it in the rear as well, but you can't get that. But what you could get was the supercharger, which was what most people wanted, the intake that went with it, sway bar upgrades, spring upgrade, exhaust upgrades from headers to downpipe to mufflers. So that's what we're talking about here, is that the Acura CL Comptech Edition. Now this car was only seen in the early 2000s in Car and Driver. There's no photos anywhere. There's only rumor mill about where this car actually ended up, and I think that we found the VIN. And I'm going to show you what the VIN is, and hopefully if you're interested in this video and interested in the history of this vehicle, maybe you know somebody who knows something about this car, maybe you know some history that you can share with us. We're really interested in learning about where this car came from, where it exists, a little bit more so that we can share with the public, because it is certainly a great car that deserves to have its time in the spotlight and appreciated. So let's go into it a little bit. Here's some visual pictures. These pictures were taken back in the day. They're high-res glamour photos, obviously, but it's really highlighting the work that Acura and Honda did in the early 2000s with Comptech to come up with this. Obviously, Honda did the crafting. What's unique about this is that anybody who's familiar with the 2003 Acura CL Type S knows that they didn't come with fog lights. So this car, we think, predates the 2003 model year. Obviously, this was an R&D project, but this was probably performed in 2001 or 2002, staging it for a production lineup. And when the production of the vehicles didn't meet the expectations, they probably ditched this in favor of something more economical and more financially feasible to produce. So keep that in mind, that it does have fog lights, and you know that the 2003 Acura CLs did not have fog lights. So here's rear end of it. You can see that it's got unique exhaust outlets only for this R&D project here. It's got a lip spoiler. Very interesting. So here's one more photo, and I'm going to call out anybody who's familiar with Comptech accessories knows that this sway bar that goes from the upper strut towers and ties into the firewall is a titanium series. So I have this sway bar on my car. I've looked at a number of examples over the years about this titanium sway bar. One thing that's very much a common thread throughout all the sway bars that I've seen is that they're always etched with Comptech and titanium in the center of those sway bars. So the fact that we don't see this strut tower bar with that etching leads me to believe that this is a very early prototype model done for R&D purposes in combination with Comptech to make this an accessory. And you also often don't see the Comptech supercharger with the black anodized powder coating on there. They're usually just silver. I think I've seen maybe one that was black anodized. And then you've got this Comptech logo across the arm. Now, they used an Eaton supercharger to come up with this. I think it was an Eaton 63, but don't quote me on that. Everything else here looks to spec as you would expect it from Comptech accessories today. Nothing stands out other than that strut tower bar. So let's go into what we did to figure out what was the VIN on this. So we'll go ahead. Okay, so let's talk about what we did to analyze the VIN number here. So we took the straight on picture here that you can see in the upper right hand corner and said, let's put this into an AI software. So this is a free AI software that you can put online, and I'm saying this because I want people to challenge what I'm going to present here as the VIN number. As you can see here, when we zoom out, we've got a number of components here, and in different photos you'll see that there's a VIN tag on the fenders. We tried zooming in on that, weren't able to confirm. Basically the VIN tags get blurred out, but we have this little scroll here. So this is the before, and then this is the after on this line. So as we move this back, it gets a little bit crisper. So let's zoom in on the VIN on the firewall here, and as you can see here, here's the before. Kind of looks like garble, garble, garble 2-1, right? And then let's go like that. And this is with AI enhancement. It looks like there's a 3. We're missing a digit here, 000021. And we know from VIN decoding that the series of VINs is this last digit right here, 000021, with a check digit somewhere in. So all Acura CL start with 19UYA, and then they trail on with a check digit in there. So when we're talking about this vehicle in particular, we know that it looks like, from this photo anyways, that it ends in 2-1. So what would we do from there? We would pull up our VIN decoder. So this is NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and we put in the VIN into our check digit calculator. So check digit calculator basically says, if you've got the VIN right, the check digit comes out as correct. So if I was to change the check digit here to a 7, let's say, and we do a check digit, it'll say that's wrong. So basically, this prevents fraud of VINs. So we were able to put in this VIN, run a check digit, and determine that it was correct. So our next step is, okay, now that we know that the VIN is authenticating correctly, what is the process for making sure that we can code the VIN and understand whether it's an actual vehicle that decodes correctly? So you do a VIN decode to understand if it checks out from the database with the correct parameters. So if you put in a VIN of a specific model, it'll tell you your specific specifications for that vehicle. So we're going to take a look at this. This is the VIN that we think it is, 21. And here's what comes up. It's an Acura produced passenger car, Acura CL Coupe. Yep. We see that here in the body style and the model. Then we go down here. It's a 3.2. That checks out. 6-cylinder. It has a J32A2 engine. It's a Type S trim. And what is the most important component of this? This is a manual transmission car. Now, this VIN doesn't show up anywhere in the VIN histories or the VIN ranges. So this is a problem. This most likely is a pre-production car, which makes complete sense because a pre-production car would fall into a couple different categories. Probably crash tested, could be a test mule, could be a whole bunch of things. But basically, the intent of it is that you're using that vehicle pre-production, never intended to be sold to the public, to do R&D, to validate proof of concepts, etc. So you're basically saying producing a series of cars before we're leading up to the actual sale to consumers, taking those cars and doing what I need to do to make sure that they're either safe or that the longevity of them is correct, or that we're manufacturing parts that could be accessories and make sure that that works. So the fact that this VIN comes back from the visual aspect of it, of making sure that it checks out as far as a pre-production car. So if we looked at that firewall and we saw 006686 or something of that nature, that would be a little odd. We would want it to be an early VIN number, because then that means that it's a part of a research lot of cars. So let's go into what we think is the next step of verifying what that VIN is. Our next step was to look at the VIN from a couple different angles to see if we could determine whether it was truly VIN 21 and not something else. I mean, the first photo that we looked at, we could see pretty clearly the head-on shot, zoomed in with a little bit of AI help, shows that the light is hitting that silver firewall just correctly to give us a 2 and a 1 at the end. But is it possible that that VIN could be something else? That's something that we definitely have to validate. The way we look at the stamping of those letters, it really does match up with a 2 and a 1, and it doesn't match up with, say, a 3 and a 1. A 3 and a 1 has a slightly different characteristic to the way that the hoop works on the top of the number. So if you look over in column E and column D, we believe that to be 33A, right? So those threes pair up and match directly with what we believe is the top part of a 3. So then the second part of that would be H can't be a 3 because it doesn't have the same upper hoop to it. And so this leads us to believe that the VIN is 19UYA41633A000021. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you can take a look at our information and determine whether we're correct or not, and we'll catch you on the next one.